Hey, what's going on, Minnesota Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People Podcast. Today, you get twin Kyles on the show. You're welcome in advance, all right?
Yeah, it was a lot to handle.
I am Kyle Smith. As always, I am joined by Mr. Kyle West. He is the brains of the operation tonight. How are you, sir?
Hey, I don't know about brains, but I am definitely here.
Well, it's either brains or good looks, man. You got to pick one of them.
Neither.
Yeah, I defer to the second half on that one. Thanks.
Yeah.
Adam Carlson's not with us tonight because that lucky SOB is out at the Super Bowl and he's getting autographs and enjoying Super Bowl week. So we're super jealous. But Adam, will dedicate the show to you, and we're going to open up the chat. I'm pretty sure Kyle's got that covered because I always forget. But
I got it open.
Do we have anybody in there yet?
Oh man, we got a lot of people with us. We got
Yeah.
Dorian. You got hashtag Twin Kyles with us. We got Chaz Green, who says I finally caught it live. We got Jason with us as well. Lucky guy, he says, for Adam Carlson. I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of Vikings fans. If you are around the Twin Cities area, there is all kinds of former Vikings players that are out right now signing autographs. Even current players are out doing the whole autograph thing. Just good opportunities, even though the Vikings are not playing, that you can get to meet some talent on the team and some Hall of Fame players and such.
Yeah, it's been crazy. It's just a great opportunity for the city of Minneapolis to be hosting this. There's a ton of football celebrities, like Kyle mentioned, past and present. There's just a ton of celebrities in general.
What was that list? Did you get the list that Adam sent?
Oh yeah, I can actually tell you guys while we look it up right now. It's in our group chat, but I'll tell you, It's not just football celebrities, guys. There's tons of people just coming to watch and be entertained, much like a big fight out in Vegas or something. I know I saw Floyd Mayweather is in town because the Money Man vans were driving down the street, which is pretty crazy. Just give you a list, like everybody's a football fan. This is the most popular sport in America, the biggest, most viewed sporting event in America by far. But here's a list of some of the guys. I won't name all of them, but Adam sent us something for, I believe, autographs
tomorrow.
Oh, okay. So these are some of the guys that he'll get a chance to see tomorrow. DeMarcus Ware, Eric Berry, Thomas Davis, Anquan Bolden, Harrison Smith, Alex Smith, Jamal Williams, Chris Carter, Jason Witten, Emmett Smith, Ron Woodson, Aaron Donald, Nick Mangold, Chris Carter again. That's pretty cool. So I'm pretty sure he'll get a Chris Carter autograph or photo.
He's gonna get two. You want to put money? I will put money on Adam coming back with two Chris Carter fucking autographs.
Oh yeah, you know what? I can't blame him. I would do the same thing.
Oh, I would
just
too.
Because that list that he sent me and you earlier in our Purple People podcast group chat. I was looking online tonight at like kind of cheap but authentic autograph Viking stuff, and I was 2 seconds away from buying a John Randall. It was actually a postcard, and it was gold in the front, and it was his Hall of Fame enshrinement series. It was like $40. It was like, well, that's not terrible. But I didn't buy it because I decided to be an adult and save my money. But I'm thinking about going back. If I still want it in 2 days, I'm going to go ahead and hook that up.
I say you should do it. I love to get them in person, but every now and then you got those players you just want that you probably won't have an opportunity to ever get. And I got an autographed Brett Favre 8x10 that I bought that was from his website for some charity auction.
Nice.
It came with a certificate of authenticity. It's him in his Vikings gear. It must have been after he threw a touchdown because he's got both his arms up in the air like that. And he signed it.
Brett Favre. It's that amazing Greg Lewis touchdown catch. That's the one it's from. Just tell yourself that one. It'll make it so much better.
Sure, even though he was in white, so it had to be a road game. But
whatever. It was the 500th to Randy Moss. That's what it was.
Yeah, there you go. That's awesome.
I definitely messed up, but I'm going to recover now before we get too far ahead of ourselves. I don't know what episode number this is. It's 287. Holy crap.
That's a lot of episodes.
And it is entitled Second Cousins. And if you guys haven't heard by now.
For all you Packer fans out there.
Woo! Okay. Well, there's that. That's pretty funny. Yeah, we're going to talk about Infamous.
Listen to this. One of our Chaz Green in the chat is like, it sucks living in the Philadelphia area after that tragedy from last week. Be careful walking around with your Vikings gear on, Chaz.
I'm sure if Philly wins the Super Bowl, they'll give a damn less if you have Vikings gear on. They'll probably be rude to you and bring up that game, but Yeah, those guys weren't fun. We talked about that last week. Some of their fans were kind of douches, but they made it up. They donated to Mike Zimmer's charity, which is pretty sweet. So that's cool. But yeah, we entitled this show Second Cousins. If you can tell, it's not a really good pun because I came up with it. We're going to talk about the infamous and kind of weirdly sought after Kirk Cousins. We're going to talk about him later in the main chat. But before we jump into the main topic, which is the Pro Bowl, the Super Bowl predictions, and the quarterback carousel that is, let's go through some quick hits. Before we get started on any of those, I just want to say I listen and I tell you guys every week, and I love this show until it goes off the air, and I hope it never does. Stefon Diggs made an appearance at a lot of places this week, but he made an appearance on the Dan Le Batard show, and it was amazing. One of the first things I asked him was, do you think Giselle runs the Patriots from her bedroom? Is she the sole mastermind behind it, and she does it from her bedroom? And he said, I don't know. It's a possibility. That they went over the miraculous catch, and they talked about that this week. So if you guys are fans or if you can bear listening to that show, I know it's not some people's cup of tea. It's still going to be on ESPN and their podcast, and it was earlier this week, which is pretty sweet. But moving right along for the actual quick hits of the show, Anthony Barr, they asked him, I think it was on NFL Network. It was one of the shows. They've interviewed a lot of Vikings this week because they're in Minnesota, and he said he'd like to have a long-term extension with the Vikings. I love it here. He says, I really love my teammates. I love this team, and I love the city. I could see myself being here for the future. And he also said that he thinks that he's pretty much laid it all out there, that he deserves this contract. I think he said his, and I'm paraphrasing here, that his film speaks for itself. And I think that's a pretty bold statement from him, but I think he backs it up pretty well. He's been an outstanding player and definitely deserving of that top 10 pick that we took him in a couple years ago.
Sorry about that. I had to turn my quality down for some reason. It was set all the way up to HD, and my internet just decided that it was like, you're not going to run in HD. So I couldn't hear you there for a couple minutes. But as for Anthony Barr, yeah, he deserves a long-term extension. Him and Eric Kendricks, I think, work together great on the field together. Mm-hmm. They're a good tandem of players to have out there at the linebacker position. So, yeah, I think he deserves a long-term extension for sure. We got a question in the chat. Are you planning to do live shows leading up / covering the draft? Yes, we are, Jason. Each and every week, we're here. We try to do the shows earlier than what we did. We kind of slipped. I was sick earlier on. We were all kind of busy. But yeah, we usually try to do them around Sunday, Monday, every week, all off season. We will be here for you guys.
Yeah, I didn't see Jason's name because I don't have it up. But what's up, Jason? Thanks for asking the question. Our buddy Adam, he's kind of him and Kyle are the co-founder. They just kind of fed me as a stray pet, and I never left a couple of years ago. But him and Adam, they'll do mostly Adam will do the draft research on players that he likes. He actually works for a website called the Viking Age, and he'll give you up-to-date stuff. And then the closer we get, when we get to the draft, which I think is in April-ish or May, the NFL's new season will start in 2018 on March 14th, I believe, somewhere around that neighborhood. And once free agency starts running around and going crazy and everything is settled down, we'll really get a feel for where the Vikings are going to go. We'll give you predictions. And like Kyle said, we do a show once a week, every week, no matter if it's the off season, if it's OTAs, if it's the middle of the season, it doesn't matter. We're here every single week. We'll find something to talk about. And if not, we'll just leave it up to you guys and we'll run a muck around here for about 30 to 45 minutes. So we're here for you, man.
Those shows get to be a lot of fun too. You know that?
Yeah, and if you guys are kind of new to the show, those are the shows that we say, all right, this will be a quick one, and it goes for an hour and 15 minutes. So just be prepared. Back to the quick hits. Speaking of people that are going to be here in the future, Vikings assigned safety Jack Tocho and offensive tackle Storm Norton to reserve / future contracts for the 2018 NFL season. Those are some pretty badass names, first of all, and fun story about Jack Tocho. They were talking about who the people thought was the ugly duckling on 96 Questions with B-Rob, and Jack Tocho got a vote, which is just funny to me. They just like you can see the camaraderie in the locker room, and then asking funny questions like, "Who's pretty ugly?" Jack Tocho got a vote, so a little bit that I knew about him, and I saw it. It kind of fits the mold. He kind of looks like Frankenstein. Sorry, man. Oh, this is a good one here. Terrence Newman said that he's ready to play for another season for the Vikings. He said, I want to play next season because we made it to an NFC championship and we fell short. We fell way short. I want to be able to have an opportunity to win a ring. It's that simple. Those are some pretty bold words, and it's going to be a hard task next year. The schedule's out. The dates aren't down, but we've seen our opponents. You're the number one seed, so you play the number one teams, and we have teams like the Patriots on the road, the Rams. Obviously, we have to deal with the Packers twice a year. We have a rematch with the Saints, Philadelphia, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's my question for you. Do you bring him back?
I would.
What do you think?
I would absolutely bring him back. I don't know that I would necessarily just hand him the starting job. Of course, Mike Zimmer is going to make everybody earn their spot regardless. He's going to put the best player in to start. But he's contributed a lot for the handful of years he's been here. He absolutely, man, he's got the fountain of youth. He's obviously takes care of his body because he's playing up to now what he's going to be 40 next year, which is unheard of. I think in third down situations and specific situations, he would contribute fine.
I think that Mike Zimmer has to have a conversation with him where you tell him, we can't guarantee you a roster spot. And even though you're a veteran, you have
to end up giving the 53rd spot to Marcus Sherrills every year somehow.
Yeah, yep. I think you have to tell him that you can come in, and even though you're a veteran, there is the possibility that maybe you don't make it through training camp. Maybe you get outplayed. I would be willing to bet that he would earn a roster spot, but I don't think you want to guarantee him at age 40 anything.
Right. Injury, age, just the deterioration's a big question mark. Obviously, he got kind of lit up during the NFC Championship game, but so did the rest of the defense. There wasn't one lone person that just absolutely ruined it. You know, when they put up 38 unanswered points, that's the defense as a whole. So it's not just going to lay on it. But he got some damn good plays this year. I mean, he made an interception where he caught it underneath his legs and juggled it and still came down. The guy can still play. It's just a matter of would he accept, and I think, and just in my opinion, I think he would accept a smaller role, maybe a backup role, a situational guy, kind of like Brian Robinson's transitioning out of the starting position, and he still contributes here and there. I think he could do the same thing at corner, but that's just me. That'll be interesting to see because we got a lot of moves to make coming up. But the good thing is, if you guys didn't know, we do have a lot of cap space, so we can sign some people, we can retain some people, and we can start keeping people around like Anthony Barr, and then in the future, Eric Kendricks, and so on. Oh, this is a good one here. The next quick hit is the Vikings are rumored to be interested in interviewing Eagles quarterback coach John DeFilippo for the new team's offensive coordinator position. So that's pretty awesome.
I wish I knew more about him. I really don't. But look at how well Philadelphia's quarterbacks are playing right now. So he has to be good at his job and what he does. So sure, give him an interview. I'm all for bringing in and finding the right person. This is an important hire for Minnesota.
Yeah, this is going to be even more so than the quarterback conundrum, which we're going to address here in a little bit. I mean, to be honest with you, we have three capable quarterbacks. I don't think that we have any MVPs, but we definitely have three capable and willing quarterbacks that love this team and appreciate the opportunity. And they all three are just three different, completely different players. But when it all comes down to it and to brass tacks, before we talk about free agency, the quarterback situation, anything, we've got to hire an offensive coordinator. And I have full faith in Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman to find the guy. They did just fine when they were promoted Pat Shurmur last season, before and halfway through, and then all of this season. You see how well he did. I mean, it landed him a head coaching job. He did so well, and so I have full faith in the management, and I think whatever they choose is going to be fine going forward.
Yeah, and they really have to find an offensive coordinator before they sign a quarterback. Before they decide what they're going to do with the quarterback room, you have to have that coordinator in place.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all going to depend on what kind of system you're going to run, and then that'll contribute. Because let's talk about it. You know, we're going to talk about that here in a second for quarterback drama. If you wanted an offense where you wanted a quarterback to stand in the pocket and just deliver, and we wanted to do a little bit more of the down the field shot, Sam Bradford's that guy. He's accurate and he's got the best arm. If you wanted to do some RPOs type deals, you look at a Case Keenum or Teddy Bridgewater, and you let them duke it out. We're going to run the ball because we ran the ball, I think, second best in the NFL overall when it comes to our two-headed monster we had. Should have been three, but Dalvin Cook went down. We were right behind the Saints, so we run the ball effectively. The O-line is obviously a big issue that's going to get addressed too, but I mean, depending on what system we have in place, it's going to depend on who we sign. That's just what I think.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
So let's go into the main topic. I want to reverse this first because the Super Bowl is this weekend, but I feel like we should end it on that. Let's talk about Viking-centric stuff. Let's talk about the quarterback drama. If you guys are NFL fans in general, like myself and Mr. West are, other things and other teams in the NFL are interesting to you. That includes every team, even our rivals in the Packers. It's going to be a different year next year because Aaron Rodgers is going to come back. He's always got a chip on his shoulder, and he's only 34. He's still in his prime, which is unreal to say. You think he'd be on the decline, but interesting thing too. I saw an interview of him today. They were talking about Tom Brady, and he said, "Just it's crazy how well he's taking care of his body." And they said, "Do you want to play till you're 40?" He's like, "I want to see where Tom gets, and I want to match it." So that's kind of scary, considering that he's our rival and he's so damn good, and he's still playing out of his mind when he's healthy. He's trying to play till he's like 41 or 42. So if he could just get traded to the AFC, that'd be great. But they're talking about that today. But the quarterback drama, we talk about other teams because it could somehow affect our team. Alex Smith of the Kansas City Chiefs, formerly, there's a deal in place. There can't be anything official until the new year starts, like I said, around March 14th. But the Redskins have agreed in place with the deal with the Chiefs to send Alex Smith to Washington for a second-round pick and a couple of players. Now, what does that have to do with the Vikings? Well, first of all, let's break this down. Kirk Cousins was the starter and a very competent quarterback for the Redskins. Our own Adam Carlson doesn't really care too much for him. I have mixed feelings about him. I don't think he put up those kind of numbers on that mediocre / average of a team if you're not competent and good enough. Do I think he's the holy Jesus savior for the Vikings to send them to a Super Bowl? No. Do I think that he's an upgrade over at least one of our quarterbacks, maybe two? Yeah, I do. Me personally, I think I do.
I think Kirk Cousins. Sorry, I'm still getting over my cold here.
That's all right.
He's a good quarterback that I wouldn't want to overspend and pay a lot of money for. And I think that that's what has Vikings fans concerned, is that he can play well, but I don't want to make Kirk Cousins the highest paid quarterback in the history of the NFL to come to the Minnesota Vikings. And that's just my opinion on that one.
Well, here's the thing that Kyle just made a great point on. Look at the Baltimore Ravens. And one of the NFL analysts said that, and I'm not stealing this. It's just something I believed in before, and I've said it before. They handcuffed themselves to Joe Flacco after probably the greatest postseason performance of a quarterback ever. Can't say, you got to pay the guy. He's going to be our guy. Let's go. But in that, they've not really brought in too much free agent talent, and they couldn't keep around guys that they drafted because they gave him so much money. And I'm with you on that. And I think that is a good reason why Vikings fans should be concerned, because if you pay the guy, $30 million a year, he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Drew Brees. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Russell Wilson. I can go down the list of 10 quarterbacks he is not, but you're going to pay him like those top. He's not Matt Stafford, who's the highest paid quarterback ever. Matt Stafford's better than he is, hands down. Now, on the caveat to that, the thing that I think has crippled the Vikings for so long is not having that all-star top 6, top 8 or better quarterback.
Stability.
I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, stability there. You need that consistency. You can bring in a Brett Favre at the end of his career. It'd be cool. A lot of people, and I'm just going to squash it now because I'm going to talk about this for about 5 minutes all total. Drew Brees is not coming to the Minnesota Vikings, guys. There's a picture on one of those Facebook groups. I think it's Minnesota Vikings family. There's a fake and photoshopped Adam Schefter tweet. If you guys aren't smart enough, and I'm not saying this to sound condescending, but if you're not smart enough to Google stuff and go on Twitter itself, I can't help you there because you look really dumb, and it makes me feel bad for you because you get your hopes up over something that's fake. There was a fake Adam Schefter tweet that said the Vikings are interested in Jimmy Garoppolo and Drew Brees. What the fuck, guys? Drew Brees is not going anywhere. It's been documented by Sean Payton, their GM, and Drew Brees himself as early as 2 days ago. And Jimmy Garoppolo is a young quarterback who is so sought after that San Francisco went ahead and made a move on. Why would they give him up? Who are they going to take? I know it's a quarterback-friendly draft or quarterback-heavy draft, but that's a 3-year stage. They have a guy that they know is all right. I mean, he won like the last 6 games he played for him straight. He's a good quarterback. Why would you give him up? And most of the time when you have to do that, you have to do things like we do with Sam Bradford, where you have to give up an arm and a leg to get him. And that's where I'm with you on not going after Cousins, because we have 3 capable guys. Now, what I said earlier, and I'll shut up in like 30 seconds because I want you to get your input and I want to hear what people have to say in the chat. The big question mark here is Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know that Sam Bradford comes back because I can't trust his knees. Do I trust the upper half of Sam Bradford more than any other quarterback on the team? He's got the touch, the arm, the accuracy better than any of the other 2. The enigma here is Case Keenum. Now that Kirk Cousins is on the market, Case Keenum won't be as sought after because this will be the number 1 guy. Now, I'm not saying that the Buffalo Bills or the Browns or the Jets or teams like that wouldn't want to go after and give him a shot. But Kirk Cousins is definitely going to be the most sought after quarterback. And, fair enough. He's put up great numbers the last 3 years consistently. I just don't know who on the team is better than him in that aspect. I don't know that he's had a team as good as the Vikings because he could probably do what Case Keenum did. I think he could replicate that easily, maybe better. But the question is, do you want to spend $29 million to $30 million a year on him? I don't. I don't want to do that.
Very well said. And I don't think Sam Bradford is going to be back just based on the injury history. I don't think that you can rely on him long-term anymore. And you also got to remember, I think we still owe Philadelphia like a 4th-round pick.
Yeah, they're going to get a 4th-rounder
this year that we have to give up for him too. So they came out very well on that Sam Bradford trade. So kudos to their team for doing that. It was a very, very smart move for them to move on from him and to put Carson Wentz in when they did. Very well run what they've got going up there in Philly. Whatever they do, I don't want to see them pay so much for a quarterback that now you have to decide, do we want Adam Thielen or Stephon Diggs? Because one of them has to go now because we don't have enough money to keep both. Hey, we like you, Anthony Barr, but we can't pay you to a long-term contract because we paid a boatload of money to Kirk Cousins. That's kind of what I come back to with him. Do I think he would be a good fit in Minnesota? I think you could win a lot of games with him. But I think they have to be smart and try to keep the team together and intact and not overspend for a quarterback. Honestly, I think Case Keenum has earned some kind of nod for the Vikings moving forward. I think that they have to have at least some kind of talks. And I think we have an Eagles fan in the chat with us this week, by the way. They have to, which is amazing that their team is playing in the Super Bowl, and yet they have enough time to come into our little chat room with us. I think that's kind of funny. But
hey, we'll welcome anybody in as long as you play nice.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. I think Teddy, I think it's going to come down to Teddy and Case, I think, are going to be the realistic options for the Vikings moving into 2018. I think it's going to come down between those two.
Yeah, I mean, financially, that sounds like the smart move. These guys are familiar with their teammates, the wide receivers, all that good stuff. The team and Mike Zimmer love Teddy. They haven't really given Case a lot of vocal support, even though when he was playing for us, it was hands down like, Case is a guy. I mean, you saw that. But the big question mark here, and there was a debate about it. Another thing, too, I hate to give these guys promotion all the time, but they're my favorite show. Chris Sims is coming on Dan Le Batard every day, and he said Blake Bortles is the 70th best quarterback in the world, which I thought was the funniest thing in the world. He's got guys like Tyrod Taylor and Mark Sanchez in front of him, which is
Mark Sanchez. Funny. When is the last time Mark Sanchez has played a regular season, meaningful NFL game?
I think the butt fumble, and that was probably the last one, maybe. I don't even know if the game was meaningful because they weren't that good then, because that was like 08, 09, 9, 10, 10, 11, somewhere in there when he played when they were really good with the Jets and Rex Ryan. But hey, Teddy Bridgewater was 49th on his list, and I was kind of like shocked because he has E.J. Manuel and the likes of him in front of him. And he said, you know what? I know we have great tape on Teddy, but he's got one leg as far as I'm concerned. And the only pass I've seen him throw this year, he threw an interception. And I thought that was both ways. I thought it was biased because it was only one throw, but I think he has a great point, and I think that's the way the Vikings kind of feel. They love the kid, but I'll give you why I believe what you said is going to happen the most. Because if the Vikings had had a healthy Teddy Bridgewater and a healthy Case Keenum going into the season, who would have won that matchup? I think they're relatively the same player. I think they both scramble pretty well. I think they make smart throws. I think they both would have thrived. Case is obviously a little older than Teddy. I think that's why the Vikings are going to lean towards keeping him on the team. Probably not for a lot of money, but to say, hey, man, we have faith in you. We drafted you in the first round because we believe in you. You've had time. You've recovered. Let's see what you got. And I think they'll give him an honest training camp to battle it out with Case Keenum. That being said, if you pay Case Keenum starter money and then Teddy Bridgewater outperforms him, then you're kind of handicapped there. So my prediction hasn't changed. I think they're going to sign Case and Teddy both to one-year deals. I think they could mimic each other. I think Case will probably be a little bit more because he played pretty damn good for us this year. But that's what I see going forward at the quarterback conundrum. Now, I will say that
you also got to remember that Teddy wants to start. I know it's been like 2 years since he last played, but he didn't bite his words in his exit interview with the team. He wants to start somewhere, and he didn't.
He would be another sought-after piece, and that's another crazy thing we could talk about. What if we don't have any of these three guys going forward and we wheel and deal some of these? I don't think that I don't know if we can wheel and deal because I think they're all free.
Yeah, because none of them are under contract.
That's right. We'll get 4 first-round picks for Kyle Slaughter. Calling it now, bold statement.
Kyle Slaughter, who got cut for Brock Osweiler. Let us remember that, folks.
That's the biggest thievery in NFL history, that contract for Brock Osweiler. Von Miller defended him today, too. He's like, well, oh, man, he won some clutch games for us. He earned that money. And Von, shut up. Respectfully, don't eat my head off my body. Shut up. He sucks. He's terrible. But, yeah, going forward, I think it could be Case and Teddy. I will tell you today, though, they did interview Adam Thielen. It's everywhere saying, we have 3 guys that are capable. They've all thrown passes to all of us, and they're all very good. He's like, but Kirk Cousins is out there, and he's a damn good football player. And that sparks the interest right there. So you're looking at 4 potential options on who could be the starter next year. Sam Bradford being the outlier, then Kirk, then I would go Teddy, then Case number 1. That's who I would see going forward. But we'll see. We told you guys before we have to get an offensive coordinator first. We're going to go offensive line first in the draft. That's my prediction. We're going to get an offensive lineman of some sort at the 30th pick. Go from there, but it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be an interesting offseason because big-name quarterbacks and starters don't really move like that, so that definitely shook the football world the other day. I actually texted my buddy Casey, and I said, you guys just got Alex Smith, and he said, fake news. And I said, first of all, don't ever doubt me, and secondly, just because it's not what you want to hear doesn't mean it's not true, and he was pretty pissed. He's like, why did we get rid of Kirk Cousins for Alex Smith? I was like, I don't know, you wanted to pay a little bit less for the same player because that's pretty much what they are, but I don't know. It's pretty funny. But the Alex Smith news certainly opened up a whirlwind of rumors. Kirk Cousins is going to make a shit ton of money, and we'll see. But, hey, whatever Philly fan is in the chat, man, congratulations to your team. Good luck on Sunday. I can't really say that I'm rooting for your team because you beat the shit out of us.
But at the same time, I would kind of like to see the Patriots get the shit beat out of them too. So – either outcome.
I think everybody has a consensus of that. Hey, I like watching greatness. I really do, and I'm totally on board for the Pats winning another one. This is what I think is going to happen, and we can roll into Super Bowl predictions now. But, oh, God, that's going to be a damn good game because the Eagles have the best 2 lines in football. Their O-line is great at protecting, and their D-line is destructive. So, good luck, New England? Question mark. That's just how I feel about that. But we can ask everybody in the chat because we have 2 things we want to talk about before we wrap the show up. Let's go to Super Bowl predictions, man. So
sure,
I think you kind of want the Eagles to win, but let's put it realistically on the table. Can anybody honestly bet against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick? Confidently, I should say.
I mean, I don't know. I'm poor. I don't have money to bet on sports, but how can you bet against New England just based on their track record? But right. Man, that Eagles team, that defense is really, really good in Philly.
Top 5 in the league.
If there is a team that could match up and just absolutely punch Tom Brady right square in the face, man, it's going to be this Philadelphia team. They have as good a shot as any to go in there and just punch him in the gut and walk away with this game. That could totally happen.
I'll tell you what, every Patriots Super Bowl appearance with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick playing hasn't been a blowout. If you guys remember, Vinatieri won 1 for him. I don't remember how close the Eagles and the Carolina game were, but they were close. Both the times the Giants beat them, they had to march back down the field because Tom Brady and Bill Belichick know how to march down and score. Butler comes up with the play of his life against Seattle, and then last year, the best Super Bowl I've ever heard of happened. You can't count these guys out. I'll tell you straight up, I don't bet against – I go with history. I made a bet with one of my friends this year. He said AP would have over 1,000 yards, and I laughed in his face.
How'd that work out?
Yeah, and it's nothing against Adrian. You know, we wish him the best. He gave us a lot of good years. But
what did Adrian even have for rushing yards?
It was like 500 yards.
Like 400?
Yeah, it's between four and 600 in between. It was in between at minimum 4 something and not over 5 something. He didn't go over 600 yards, which is crazy because he had one game where he looked like vintage Adrian Peterson for the Cardinals, and then that was kind of it. But I do my research on stuff like that, man. I couldn't bet for Adrian because of his age, and it proved me right. Now I got a free dinner waiting on me. You know, like I'm poor like you. I paid child support, so I'm not betting anything on this game. I'll be watching it from work Sunday night. But I'm going to go with the Patriots here. I'm going to say that this is going to be an interesting and high-scoring game. I'm going to go 31-34 New England. I think it comes down to a field goal. Now, if Philadelphia ends up winning, there's a couple of people that I know that are super huge Eagles fans, and it's just going to be so obnoxious. I'm probably going to unfollow them on the internet because they're just going to annoy the shit out of me. And that's how it would be if the Vikings won. Don't get me wrong. So I would definitely dish that out too. But I just can't bet against Brady and the Pats because they just keep finding – I didn't think they were going to beat Jacksonville, and somehow they found a way at the end, and they don't have Julian Edelman. Gronk's cleared to play, by the way, if you guys didn't hear earlier. Gronkowski has cleared concussion protocol, so he will be in the Super Bowl plan. Mm-hmm. So when you got Amendola and Chris Hogan and Deion Lewis and I forget the other, James White, and Gronk is playing and Brandon Cooks, I mean, holy Jesus. Those are some pretty big names. Now, Philly's got some great players too. Remember, LeGarrette Blount and Chris Long won a Super Bowl last year with the Pats. They both went there. And let me tell you this, not even for Nick Foles. Is Jay Ajayi the luckiest guy in the NFL this year? He's playing for the Dolphins. You got Jake cigarette in his mouth Cutler, and you just hate your life there because the team just sucks. And they're like, well, we'll show you for voicing out. We're going to trade you to the best team in football, and now he's playing in a freaking Super Bowl.
Yeah,
pretty crazy, right?
That's pretty good luck right there. Your dog sleeping on the couch is pretty popular in the chat right now this week, too.
All right, everybody. This is my dog. All right, so for the guys that don't know, I'm a canine instructor. I was a handler for about 4.5, 5 years. Now I'm down here in El Paso, and I run a course for the Air Force and the Navy for all the continental U.S. handlers that are about to go overseas and deploy. So I had a working dog that I worked, my very first working dog. He passed away last year, a year ago this month, and I got really, really sad because it was super quiet around here. Well, it's still pretty quiet if you can't see because this is all that Bronx does. He just sleeps all the time, but he's pretty cool. Thank you, guys. Thanks for noticing. He is alive, by the way. He's just always napping.
He looks like a good dog back there.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. But, yeah, that's my Super Bowl prediction, man. You got a score for us. Who do you think is going to come out on top? Who do you guys think in the chat is going to win?
A lot of people pulling for New England in the chat. Of course, our Eagles fan is pulling for Philadelphia, rightfully so.
There you go.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say I think that Philly's going to win by 2 scores.
Wow, bold statement of the week. You think they're going to throttle the Patriots, huh?
Yes, I do.
If they play like they played against us, yeah, I would say there's a pretty damn good chance.
I think that defense is honestly underrated as to how good they are. I don't think anyone talked enough all season about how good that defense is in Philadelphia. I really think that they can come in there and they can just – I think they can stop New England. I think they can do it, guys.
That's pretty bold prediction there. That's pretty awesome, man. You're right, man. They do. Like I said earlier, I think they have the best offensive and defensive line overall this year, and they were top 5 in defense. And it's just like the Vikings, man. Not to take anything away from the Eagles, but they just, they do so well at every single level. They have great linebackers. Shout out to Eric Kendricks' brother, Michael. One of the two are going to play in a Super Bowl. Wish it was Eric and the Vikings, but Eric Kendricks' brother is going to play. He's a linebacker as well. They've got a great secondary. but that D line is just nasty. I watched them a couple of games this year. I think one for our bye week, and then another just because the Vikings game was over. Their defensive tackles and defensive ends they wreck people. And I think Rashad Hill could definitely attest to that. But I don't want to talk about that game ever again because it was terrible. Let's go into a final question before we plug everything and wrap this show up. I want to ask everyone, because we're going to ask everyone on our page tonight and following into next week, who was the offensive MVP for the season this year? And go.
Got some good choices here for Minnesota.
I think the top three have to be Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, and Case Keenum. I don't really think there's any other debate about that. There's been a pretty good continuous play. Some guys that we hope we're going to be good and they end up being good, like Latavius Murray.
There's Pat Elflein.
He played damn good all year.
He played damn good football as well, too.
As a rookie. Dalvin Cook probably could have run away with that, or at least been in the talks if he not gotten hurt. He played pretty well for the short time that he had before he got injured. Jarius Wright's always clutch on third down. Don't everybody say Laquan Treadwell at once, all right? Everybody, we need to space these out, okay?
There is nobody saying Laquan Treadwell.
No, there's not. Oh, God. Can we chalk it up? It's been 2 years. I know you're supposed to give everybody 3, but Kevin White hasn't played for the Bears in like 3 years, and he's still got about the same numbers as Laquan Treadwell, and he's been healthy.
All that I know is Laquan Treadwell better have a fucking 1,000 yards receiving next year to make up for this shit.
Yeah. I think we need to stop going in the first and second rounds for receivers and just start getting the no-name guys, because as of late, they've been pretty damn good for us.
Yeah, we've said that for a long time on our draft coverage, at least I have, is that you can find talent at the receiver position literally everywhere.
It's just a matter of scouting that guy who's got the heart to work every day. Because I mentioned it last year. Diggs had a great year last year, and then obviously this year was his best year yet. But I just watch him, and he's just constantly working out and doing routes, and he's just grinding every single day when it's not season time. You can tell like he wants to get good, and he burned a lot of people this year. So
yeah. My opinion is that like you don't find like a quality offensive lineman that's sitting on the couch somewhere, but there are so many players, college players, that get overlooked because receiver is such a popular position. You can find them. You can find them out there. So I would rather take an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman, a cornerback early in the draft, because you don't find those diamonds in the rough at that position. You just don't do that.
Right. Well, to answer my own question, and I hope everybody in the chat will give me somebody that they thought, I'm going to go against the grain, even though it's like 1A, 1B. Case Keenum did a great job. However, I do believe if Sam was healthy or if Teddy was ready to go, I believe the same kind of thing could have happened just because of the way the offenses ran. I'm giving my offensive MVP this year to Adam Thielen, just because undrafted, fights on the practice squad, gets a roster spot, and just continually gets better. The guy had 91 catches, and he's an undrafted free agent a couple years ago. He's Mr. Clutch. He did drop a few passes here. I'm not saying he catches everything, but God, I would say 90% of the time he's got a ball thrown his way. He made some crazy contested catches. And then right below him, Case Keenum, and then right below Case Keenum was Stephon Diggs, because let's forget the miracle play. Stephon came up clutch quite a few games. And the reason I'm not giving it to Case is because there were some games there where Case was just kind of off, kind of having an average day. But Thielen always seemed to show up. -1, maybe 2 games at the max this year. Thielen was just having a day every single game. So I'm going to give my offensive MVP this year to Mr. Adam Thielen, Mr. Mankato.
Good choice. I want to do Pat Elflein, but he'd probably be my rookie of the year. So just for the sake of variety, you know what? I'm going to give it to Case, because here's a guy that I had 0 expectations for.
Here's a guy.
Got to fit that in there somewhere. But really, I had low expectations for him when he came in, and he played well above what I thought was capable for Case Keenum.
Absolutely.
And so for that alone, I gotta hand it to him. I gotta give it to Case.
I want to give some variety. I mean, it could have went either way. Like I said, he stepped in and had some damn good. I mean, the Redskins game. My friend Casey, diehard Redskins fan. He posted it that one day. He's like, "We're getting the crap kicked out of us by Case freaking Keenum," and I just laughed. I was like, "Hey man, he's balling. I don't know what to tell you." But yeah, Case had a fantastic year, and he complimented well with Thielen and Diggs, and Rudy had a great year too because of Case. I think staying healthy was a big thing. I think one of the best things about Case this year and was underrated was coming in halfway through week 5 during the Bears game. Bradford looked like shit, and he had no reason being out, no reason to be out on the field. And Case found a way. He was part of a shutout against Green Bay in Green Bay. He throttled the Bengals. Had a great game against the Bucks, the Redskins, you name it, man. He showed up for mostly every game. I think we already know the Philly game is probably our worst of the year, but even in the Saints game, you have 10 seconds left, and he just throws a perfect pass to Stephon Diggs, and he's in Minnesota history for the rest of his life. So good choices, man. I don't know what the consensus is in the chat for MVP, but for offense,
a lot of people talking Adam Thielen. He was a really popular option. Thielen, Diggs, Keenum. That's kind of the consensus on those.
I think that's top 3. We're going to post that. Actually, I'm going to post that tonight on the Facebook page, so we'll have some good stuff over the weekend. I don't really have anything else for this week, man. Super Bowl is in Minnesota this week. That's pretty cool. Great for the city, like I mentioned earlier. Super pumped. We have our predictions. Kyle thinks the Eagles are going to throttle the Pats by 2 scores. I think it's going to be a nail biter, and the Pats are going to win 34-31. If it comes down and they actually do win 34-31, I want a check from someone because I'm awesome. Adam Carlson's going to kill us. I forgot to put these in there. The Pro Bowl happened this week, this past Sunday. It's better late than never. Sorry, we got wrapped up in where Kirk Cousins is going to go, and then we talked about Brock Osweiler.
God, I forgot all about the Pro Bowl.
So, we had a couple of guys that played in the Pro Bowl this week. Sorry.
We wish.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
The NFC offensive stats, so we'll go through those. Jared Goff led the way, 10 of 18. Russell Wilson was 9 of 14. Drew Brees was 7 of 9. The only touchdown coming from Drew Brees. Rushing, none of our guys were there. Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara, surprise, surprise, were the first 2. Receiving, though, Kyle Rudolph had the most receptions for the NFC. 7 for 70, averaging 10 in the long of 16. And Mr. Adam Thielen was the only one to haul in a touchdown. He was 3 for 25, and the longest was 11. And if we go over to is it going to go down? Are they going to give me some defensive stats? No, of course they're not. Why not?
No, there's no defense in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, well, that's a very – you know what? Yeah. Kyle makes a solid point because there isn't. Mr. Harrison Smith had a pick 6 on Ben Roethlisberger, which was awesome. And I don't know if it was Ben throwing to AB, but somebody threw something to Antonio Brown that could have been a touchdown. And Xavier Rhodes went after him. If you go on Vikings.com or go to their YouTube channel, the Minnesota Vikings YouTube channel, Xavier was wired for sound for the Pro Bowl, and he broke up a beautiful what could have been touchdown to Antonio Brown. And he was this is why I love Xavier Rhodes. He was like, I want to be on Antonio Brown because I want to shut him down. That's my guy right there. That takes some balls to say, I want to go shut the best receiver in the game down. And he broke up a potential touchdown pass, and he was so hyped about it. It was just cool to see him still playing. I think this is more effort than what we're used to seeing. Obviously, they're still not playing at 100% because it's the freaking Pro Bowl. But that was your Pro Bowl rundown. I'm sorry that we did that out of whack because I promised you earlier in the show. But if you stuck around this long, we had some stars shining bright. But the Pro Bowlers that we had were Harrison Smith, Linval Joseph, Xavier Rhodes, Adam Thielen, and Kyle Rudolph. So we had 5 Vikings in the Pro Bowl this year, which is pretty sweet.
I did not watch.
No, I didn't either. I can't lie to you. I had no desire. Going to be really bummed out after the Super Bowl because that means we're not going to be talking about football for a minute. But the Super Bowl is this weekend. It's in Minnesota. So if you guys are going to be there, cool. Be safe this weekend. If you're going to enjoy a beverage, don't drive. Just have a good time. And I'm pretty pumped because the halftime show's got Justin Timberlake, so that's pretty sweet. Released a song with my favorite singer in the entire world, Chris Stapleton, about a week ago. So I'm kind of hoping there's going to be a mystery guest appearance there. Have Chris Stapleton come out and play at the halftime show with him. If he does, you can bet down in El Paso, Texas, you'll hear me fangirling from about 400 miles away. So that'd be pretty sweet. But It's going to be a good one this weekend, man. I have a feeling it's going to be a great one. So I hope it turns out that way. For everyone in the chat, we want to say, like we do every week, thank you so much. The show's come a hell of a long way from even when I joined at episode number 85. We were talking on Skype audio. You couldn't see our lovely faces. You didn't get to do this interaction. We kind of posted it and then kind of went off of what you said on the internet. Now we can do it live like a fake radio show, so it's pretty sweet. Adam Carlson's not here, but I'm going to plug his stuff anyways. I'm going to plug Kyle West stuff too. Because
awesome, go for it.
I support these guys 100%, and they're good friends of mine. So Adam Carlson writes for thevikingage.com. If you have a smartphone, download the Viking Age app or download Fansided, Fansided. You can add Viking Age on there, which is pretty sweet. I get all of my Vikings updates through Fansided via the Viking Age because him and this guy named Adam Patrick, who always gets me riled up in everything he writes, he does a damn good job of that. They keep you up to date for the little stuff. You know, you can get ESPN updates about the Vikings, but these guys are going to give you in-depth stuff from and around Minnesota and give you a little in-depth and more detailed look at some things that they might not show nationally. So check their stuff out. Check out Adam's stuff from the Viking Age. He also does some stuff for Undead Walking. If you're a Walking Dead fan, check out Undead Walking. Mr. Kyle West over there, that handsome SOB, he's on another podcast called Attack of the Blog, and also
that is my website that I write for. Yeah, so you can check that out at attackofthblog.net. Otherwise, my movie podcast is
the best name ever.
Yeah, I wish I could take credit for it. I can't. This was all Jeff's idea. It's called Shut Up, I Like This. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us over on Facebook. We talk about movies. We talk about all kinds of different movies because we like them. This weekend, we are doing Hellraiser. We got Hellraiser, Armageddon. God, I don't remember what's coming up after that one. Those are the next two that are coming up in the pipeline.
Speaking of movies, I have to tell everybody and plug this because I use the shit out of it because it's amazing. If you guys can afford $10 a month charged to your debit or credit card, I highly suggest you go out and get Movie Pass. Now, this came from a lovely lady that I know named Shira from back home in North Carolina. She's one of my favorite people on the entire planet. She said, hey, man, we love movies. Go get this. And if you guys don't know about it, I'll show you now is my wallet here. So it's a little red. It looks like a credit card. There's a MasterCard logo, but it's actually a rechargeable debit card. And it'll take about 5 to 6 weeks to get to your house. So I would get on it now if you can and can afford it and you like it. But you can go see one movie per day, and it's only a $10 a month charge, and it's unlimited. I can go to the movies every single day of the month for $10. So you're allotted one per day. I've went to the movies in January 8 times for $10. If you go once, it pays for itself because a movie nowadays is going to cost you around $8 to $12. But just something to get a hold of because I love movies just as much as you. I'm not a good writer. Otherwise, I'd be on that show with you and do that stuff. You guys can have me if you wanted one time. That'd be fun. But do
you want to know the benefit of living here in the Midwest?
$5 movies?
I just went to see Star Wars tonight in 3D. And so this was my total for a ticket in 3D, and I got a pop and a popcorn. I spent $8.25.
Pop. Oh gosh, you Midwesterners, you and your pop. It's soda, damn it. It says it on the bottle. It says artificially flavored soda. We should have a poll of that. Is it pop or soda?
Pop or soda. What do you guys say in the chat? Well, everyone in the chat ought to be from Minnesota, so they're all going to be on my side.
I'm going to get outruled on that one for sure. That's so funny, man.
What was that called? What was that card called again? They're asking in the chat room.
Oh, it's called Movie Pass. Just Google Movie Pass or go to moviepass.com. I gave it a whirl. I started in December. Like I said, it'll take a minute to get there, but it'll bill your card once a month for $9.99, and you can go once a day, one movie per day. And basically how it works is you bring up the app on your phone, and when you get within 100 yards of the theater, you can check in, and you can pick what movie and what time, and that'll let your card know, hey, it's going to be charged here very shortly. And you go up, you pick your seat. Like most of the places now, you have to pick your seat where I go. Pick your seat, swipe the card, and you're good to go. I've been using it for about 2 months now, and it's incredible for the value that you get out of it. So if you enjoy the movies like I and Kyle West do, I highly recommend it just for the value of it alone. But
we're having an intense debate over the soda and the pop going on right now.
Hey, man, I'm just going by what it said on the bottle growing up, all right? I'm from North Carolina, so, yeah, we're kind of weird down in the South.
4DX, that looks cool, though. I've never been to a 4DX theater. I would love to get an opportunity to do that. Do you have those around there?
It reminds me, yeah, there's one here at one of the Carmikes, I believe. I don't know if it's 3DX or something, but it's kind of like these. If you guys have ever been to Charlotte, there's a theme park there that Paramount used to own. It's called Carowinds, and it's a huge theme park on the North-South Carolina border. And they used to have, they had Days of Thunder, the old Tom Cruise movie. They had 007, which was amazing. Now it's like a kid's thing, but it's those seats that move that you can move on with. And it's kind of the same idea. I have never done it because I would just rather sit and be still. I guess that's the Clint Eastwood and the old man, like, get off my lawn in me. But I don't want to do that. But I have heard of them, and we do have them here in El Paso, which is crazy.
Yeah, very cool. Here we have people in the chat room doing our job for us. Chaz is telling me to remind everyone that you should click on the bell, the notification thing on our podcast YouTube channel, because then you get all the notifications for when we go live. Because sometimes we do these, we make up these times, like most of the time. So if you do that, as soon as we go live, you'll get that notification. So thank you, Chaz. Thanks for reminding me to remind everyone. Yeah.
You are the MVP this week, man. Thank you for that. I forgot to mention that myself. Me and Kyle both, because got 10 things going on at once when we run these shows. But that's pretty sweet, man.
Because we start talking about 4DX movie theaters on a Vikings podcast.
On the Purple People podcast, we talked about Brock Osweiler and 4DX movies. Because Adam's not here to filter all of our nonsense. So. But that's all I got, man. You got anything else?
No, I think that'll do it for this week.
Yeah, I think that'll do. As they said in Shrek, that'll do, donkey. So we'll get out of here on that. Follow us on Twitter at Purple People Pod. Shoot us a tweet because we haven't checked that in a while. If you're here because of the Facebook page, it's facebook.com/Purple People Podcast. If you shoot us a message or interact on there, one of the three of us will get to you within the day because we're always on Facebook. That's usually our means of communication. If you want to follow us on Twitter, Kyle West says Inhuman Witch. Adam Carlson is MN as in Mike November, Minnesota. MN Viking Zombie, and I am at Purple Scoldger. If you want to look us up on there, give us a follow. Other than that, I've got nothing. You guys be safe this weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll be talking about that next week at some point. And as always, here at the Purple People Podcast, we remind you to stay classy, Minnesota.